This video contains gratuitous use of profanity and uncomfortable pauses to compensate for lack of professionalism and original thought. Viewer discretion advised.
Live from Warrior Island, we bring you the Nerdy Manroom show with your host, Hassel and Monster.
Hassel, we got another interview this week. We're going to be interviewing creator of the martial arts extravaganza Warrior Island, Mr. James B. Jefferson. But before we get to that, let's go ahead and do a thank you to our sponsors. Everyone check out our sponsor, The Zone Collectibles. You can find them on the internet at thezonecollectibles@gmail.com and on Facebook at The Zone Collectibles, or in their store at 305 Main Street, Tifton, Georgia. Visit them for all your nerdy needs, from comics to Legos, trading cards, toys, games, and more. Help them support the local artist community by supporting their cause of bringing unity through community. Fandoms unite. And with that, let's go straight into Geek Week, Hassel, because we haven't done that. Well, actually, we did last time, but we haven't been on here in a couple of weeks because we had to skip last week, which I'll kick off Geek Week this week if you're good with it, because I got a couple of fun stories from the roads. For everybody's knowledge, we didn't record last week. We were supposed to record an interview with Mr. Wes Hartman, which will be coming up in the following week. But due to some of my travel plans, that kind of put a little bit of a dapper on it. Plus, I think he was dealing with some sinus issues at the time too. But so you know, I was out of town for work last week after coming to your nuptials, which were fun, by the way. And it wasn't as hot as I expected it to be. However, leaving there, it was 80 degrees there, and then I get up to Chicago and St. Louis and it's snowing, and then I get home and it's snowing and drop down into the teens. So luckily I haven't gotten sick yet, but I'm sure it's coming.
Well, right here in Georgia, we're now hitting both of those in the same day. Like it was literally freezing this morning, and then it was 76 by lunch. Yeah,
see, we were just having snow here when I got home on Monday. But speaking of getting home on Monday, I spent a whole week in Missouri, and then I traveled home to Cincinnati area. And on the way home, I went to work early Monday morning with the intention of seeing, shift startup, all this kind of stuff. And I got to do all that. And I was like, I need to leave by 9 o'clock to get a 2-hour drive to St. Louis so I can get on to the flight, so I can make the flight on time. But instead, I keep getting hit up throughout the night where travel notices and alerts that spring break time is up. The lines are longer in security. So I'm like, all right, so I'm going to move this to 3 hours. So I leave at 8 o'clock towards the airport instead of 9 a.m. I've already been at work since about 5, so it's not that big of a deal. I'm already up. But I get all the way there. I'm about to park the rental car, and I get a notification that, my flight's delayed by another 30 minutes. Then I get to the airport, and security has 2 people in it. This is the general line. So I walk over to the line, I get in line, and they're like, oh, you're in the wrong spot. TSA pre-check's over there. I was like, okay. So I look over there to walk over, and I let somebody cut in front of me going into there just because there was no one in that line. I was like, so I'm here 3.5 hours early now.
Ooh.
For what possible reason? Now, I can go in there and get on my computer and do some work, and I did. But at the same time, I was like, why am I here this early? Then as soon as I passed security, apparently I just missed the bum rush, because as soon as I got past there, all the gates were completely full of people. There was nowhere to sit. Like, you couldn't even grab food and sit down at the little restaurant eating areas. Like, it's kind of like a mall seating court if you've never been in an airport, but there was nowhere to even sit down and eat. It was packed. I mean, I was like, wow. So apparently it was a good thing I was there, but at the same time, I was like, I could have waited a little bit.
And what everyone really needs to take away from this is the supreme leader of Cobra flies commercial people.
I am no supreme leader of anything, but I do fly commercial. And not only that, but it was a Southwest flight, and I hate Southwest because it's non-assigned seating, so you have to get up there and get in line, and you got a spot in line, but then you got to get on the plane, and it's open seating. You got anybody sitting there? Is anybody sitting there? And until you find a spot. And I will admit that I broke down on the first flight because I was like, I'm afraid that I'm going to get stuck in a bad seat and not have to have anywhere for my bag stuff. So I paid for the upgrade to get one of the first 15 positions so I could get a good spot. However, I usually like it when my seats are assigned. But then I get home that night and I walk in and I start unpacking my bags. And everything's going okay. I mean, the travel was a long time. It's 7 hours because of layovers and everything and other delays. But get home, unpack, go to take a shower, get out of the shower, and I'm like, I'm gonna go ahead and lay down because it's late. All of a sudden, I hear a chirping. Smoke detector in my house is chirping. I'm like, all right. So I look around, clock on the microwave's out. So the power went out at some point. Couldn't have been out very long, but it was out. And apparently the smoke detector is going to continue to chirp because it ran all the power out. It's wired in, but then, when they go out, they run off the battery. So I was like, all right. I go out. It's late and it's snowing outside, but I go out to my little storage room that's outside. I grab a step stool because it's out there for whatever reason. I just don't keep it in the house. Brought it in, set it up, got out there, changed the battery, put it back up, go put the step stool up. It chirps again. I'm like, come on. So this continues for a while until I finally get it reset and I get it to stop. However, every 6 to 8 hours or so, and I haven't really timed this. I don't know the exact time, but I know it's somewhere around there. I have to go just reset it because even though I've changed the battery, I've looked at all the connections for this thing. The only thing I haven't done is go flip breakers because I don't want to mess with any breakers in the place. But it still keeps going off every 6 to 8 hours, like starting to chirp, like the battery's dying. So I just go and push the reset button consistently. Yeah. And since I can't reach it without the step stool, because the ceiling's pretty high, I've actually got my little snow brush for the car where you wipe the snow off your windshield and stuff. I brought that in the other day for whatever reason. I just reach up there and I just walk by. So every night, now when I get up in the morning after I take a shower, that's the first thing I do before I start work. I do it right after work's over because it's starting to chirp again usually. I go in there and I hit it right before I go to bed so it's not waking me up at 2 or 3 in the morning, because the reason I found out it is still doing it is because the first time it did go off at 3 in the morning, I just happened to be up going to the restroom because I'm old and I don't get to sleep all night anymore. So it's been a fun time since I got home.
Yeah, it sounds it. It sounds it.
But yeah, all that aside, I have had a small little bit of a geek week that I could share. Had some toys come in, some that I picked up. So I did pick up a McFarlane's Eradicator. I got it for $15 on sale at a Walmart. Actually had him in the store, and
he looks so good. Like it's surprising how good
he does. I just don't care for the black head and stuff. I prefer the original look for him.
Yeah, I would like to maybe customize the head or whatnot, but I do like the interchangeable hands that have the glow on the palms.
That's pretty neat. I wish the glasses came off too, so you could like do some customization and then put those back on. But they're all bolted into it. What else? I had some Power Ranger figures come in. I had the Lightning Collection in Space Silver Ranger with his Silver Cycle and the Blue Centurion from Turbo, and a Tingo Warrior 2-pack that they just put out, which is really just a repaint of the single pack when they did. They put 2 of them in there. But
yeah, I was curious about that. I bought the single. I didn't buy the double. I was curious whether there was anything different in the two.
So one of them is painted the exact same as the single pack, and one of them in the 2-pack is painted a different, like the wings are a different color. Instead of like purple, they start to bleed into more like the movie color where they were full. So in the show, they were purple at the tips of their wings.
Yeah.
And then in the movie, some of them had gold or black at the end of the wings, so they repainted one of them to that. One of them, I think, is the same exact one as the single. Body mold wise, it's the exact same. It's just the painting that's different. I did ship my pile of loot from Big Bad finally, and it's a long list. It was like 19 items, and I honestly can't remember everything that's on there, so I'll share more of it as it comes in because it still hasn't arrived yet. It's supposed to hopefully tomorrow or Saturday of this week.
How much was the taxes? Just tell me how much the taxes.
$50.
Really?
Yeah.
I thought more.
No, I mean, a lot of that. I mean, there's a lot of items, and I shared it with you, the list, but a lot of them were just $20, $30 figures, $20, $25 figures. Really, the only big ticket item was the Power Rangers, Yellow Rangers daggers were in there, and they were like $130. But everything else was under $25.
That's typically where they burn my ass, because I forget about what pile of loot, you've done paid for it, but then you forget about the taxes.
I account for the taxes and the $4 shipping always. I add it into every time that I budget the stuff, but then I can take some of it off, and I come out a little bit cheaper than what I budgeted, just because I budgeted taxes way ahead and shipping for all those way ahead, but I wait to save the shipping. So I do have also, and I'm excited about these, is the Hasbro Pulses. I bought the Lightning Collection Zord Ascension Project. I cannot hardly say that. I'm stuttering through that, but the Astro Megazord from In Space that they made. I didn't buy the Mighty Morphin ones that they made because honestly, every review I saw of them, they looked kind of cheap, especially compared to the Legacy Zords. But they never had a Legacy Astro Megazord for one, and for two, it looks like they did a much better job on it because that one actually only has two pieces. It's basically a transformer. That one was the spaceship where the legs opened up, they came around, the arms came around from the back.
Yeah.
The only separate part is the head, which is the little shuttle that docks inside of it as a spaceship, and that turns into the head. So I'm like, they do so great with those with the Transformer Titans as well as the HasLabs they've done for Transformers like Unicron. I was like, that's got to be much better than this one. So I did purchase it, and if it's crappy, I won't do any more of them. But I'm hoping that this one will be in good shape.
We'll cross fingers.
And then I got one more slightly weird story because Walmart Collector Con kicked off today. And you and I were discussing it this morning. I'm like, oh, I'm ordering the G.I. Joe Big Ben. You were going for the Range Viper and then the Craven. And you were like, I can't get this Craven. So I was like, all right, I'll just order it for you. And I was going to ship it straight to you. But every time I'd go to order it, it would tell me that when I had your address in it, it was not available. As soon as I take your address out, it would actually let me buy it. And even though it did not meet the minimum order threshold for shipping, I got free shipping on it somehow. I'm like, I have no idea what this means.
Well, you know, the weird thing about this was, you know, after you told me you got me one, I was like, thanks. An hour later, I got a notification from Walmart, and it says, "Are you ready to check your card out?"
Oh,
like,
really?
what the hell? And it was there and available.
So I don't know what's going on with that. It's the only thing that I had any trouble with. Everything else on there looked like it was fine.
Literally, I went on there because I didn't realize he dropped today. I went on there, had no problem getting Range Viper. I was happy. And then I went back on there just to look after you told me Craven was on there, and I was just kind of looking around, and I found the Ultimate Edition Eddie Guerrero where he's got the Undisputed Championship. I was like, you know what? I mean, I don't have an Eddie. This would be a cool one to have, so I picked him up. And then the Craven was like, I had a hard time even searching for him. And you sent me the link, and he'd pop up, and he would go to my cart. But when you would try to check out, it would say unavailable.
That's what it would do to me when I was trying to order ship it to your address.
It said I kept saying refresh page is what I was like, what the fuck you mean refresh page? And it was like it was a headache. So until hours later.
And honestly, a lot of that stuff, especially the Hasbro ones, were actually on Hasbro Pulse. Now the Range Viper sold out almost immediately, dropping on there. Big Ben was sold out about an hour or so later, but like the Transformer stuff, some of that's still on there, and the Craven has never actually made it to Hasbro Pulse. So I don't know if they were saving that for tomorrow for Hasbro Pulse, or they're just not doing it.
The only thing I've seen sell out faster this week that dropped was the Batmobile, the McFarlane Batmobile. It sold out instantly on Big Bad. Like
on Big Bad, yes, it's still available as a holothon thing on Target, but we know how Target pre-orders do. Yeah.
Yeah, yes, we do. I went in for the shit. What did I get off Target yesterday? Oh, I got the unmasked Batman.
Yeah,
I had to get the Keatons.
But along those same lines, Target's always doing the G.I. Joe sublines and stuff. But apparently, I guess Walmart is now because the Big Ben figure is actually a Night Force figure. You remember the Night Force when characters came out? They just had darker color schemes and all, but he's listed as Night Force, and they've called out.
You see the rumored list? Yeah,
I've seen some of them. I saw a Night Force Falcon. There's a couple others, and they were just guessing at what they might be. Like one of them might be, what's Max and Spearhead, which is the guy who comes with a little bobcat named Max. His name is Spearhead. I don't really remember him too much.
Well, they're doing a lot of the Valor versus Venom stuff for some of what I'm seeing coming forth, which I wasn't big on that by the end. I mean, it was
Nah, but I saw another one they mentioned might be Shockwave, which would be an easy one to do because it'd be a repaint of Beachhead. And he had a Night Force figure where he was all black instead of blue. I'm like, I would actually buy him because I like that character, and I had that when I was a kid.
Well, there's a few eBay listings already where somebody is claiming to have got their hands on a Tiger Force Dusty, so that's
I've seen that too. And which that's supposed to be releasing this week in like Taiwan or somewhere. So maybe they are out there in the wild. But beyond toys, as far as doing other stuff, I was out of town. But since I've gotten home, I've started trying to catch up on my current comics because I was about a month and a half behind. And I'm caught up on most everything. I've finished. Nothing really stands out. The same old stuff stands out. Power Rangers are still good. Dark Web was pretty decent. I wasn't a fan of necessarily what they did with Ben in it by the end, but I did like how they redeemed Madeline Pryor a little bit and made her part of actually Scott and Jean and them's family. And not a big fan of Havoc sticking around with her versus being on the X-Men team, but I can live with that. And then beyond that stuff, like Action Comics, Superman have been good reads lately, and The Flash has been good, but nothing else stands out. I will say, oh, go ahead. Sorry.
Well, I was just going to piggyback off what you were talking about with Havoc and Madeline. I don't know. I kind of feel like them two just
I don't have a
like he's always like the second tier Summers. He doesn't get his full due, and she's like the knockoff Jean. So to
yeah.
me, they do well
I
together. If
don't
he's
I
not going
don't
to be with Polaris, that's who I like him to be
I don't
with.
mind seeing them as a couple. I just didn't want them to take him out of the X-Men title because he was actually voted onto the team and part of the X-Men team, and was actually I wanted to see them do more with him to bring him up in status. But now they've just kind of cut him out of the X-Men book since he's now with Madeline. He's not even in the stories now. I'm like,
What happened to him and Wasp? I mean, they were married, they had children. That whole thing got ripped away from them.
that
With
that
inverted or whatever.
it went away after that was ripped away, and then they did the
Yes.
Axis inversion where he was evil, and it's like they've not really figured out what to do with him since that point in time. Honestly,
Did
he
they
just kind of
ever do
flounders
anything
around.
with the two of them after that? Because I don't recall anything.
No, not that I can remember. But I did read one more book, and I read all the parts of this, and it's like this is the worst story I have seen in years. It was the Lazarus Planet from DC, where the Lazarus rain's supposed to come down. And now there's some cool parts where they change some people's powers or affect some people's powers and do stuff like. Some of it hasn't made any sense. Like I've seen John Kent have bursts of Superman's electrical powers in the Lazarus Planet
I was going to
storyline.
ask about it.
But they never show him fully, other than covers. They never show him in the book in that uniform, and they never show him having those full powers. It's like he's leading to it, but it hasn't gotten there. Like Firestorm had a marquee part in one of the books where it's little short stories, and apparently whoever bonds with Ronnie Raymond now in the Firestorm Matrix, they can't get out of it because when they come out of it, it's like the Firestorm Matrix is draining their life force, so he's having to stay bonded or not use the powers at all. So that's kind of an interesting take on that. I'd like to see more of that, but that storyline was so disjointed. Like they would tell you a part of a story, and then you'd read the little short stories in all the tie-in books or the one-shots, and then you get to the main story again, and it's just jumped from point A to point F. It's like, what happened in between? Where's all the storyline? So it's very hard to follow.
The case with DC the last few years. It's like they do these radical stories where you have all these different, reimaginings of several characters, Elseworldish type stuff, or alternate timelines, or however, like with all the bullshit with Batman and the He Who Laughs and all that shit. And then it's like, where's your continuity afterwards?
Yeah, it's very, very. This was very disjointed. But I won't dwell on it too long because I know we have a little bit of a time crunch. But other than that, the only other thing I've done is watch. Last week I started binging The Ark on Peacock. It's a sci-fi channel show. Heard a lot of bad things about it, people ragging on it because it is a tried, played out story where hey, everybody left the Earth because Earth is dying. These people wake up on this Ark. They come out of hypersleep early. Half the crew is dead. Mostly the older crew, so it's kind of like the early 20s and younger people are kind of still around and they're having to deal with all these different things. There's a murder mystery on the ship. They're wondering what damaged the ship to bring them out of hypersleep and all. But I've actually enjoyed it. Once I got into it past the first episode, I was like, all right, I'm actually kind of invested in it. I was actually enjoying it. It's a very good sci-fi show. I mean, and it's a sci-fi channel sci-fi show. You ain't going to see anything spectacular out of it. But if you lower your expectations to temper against it, you can kind of enjoy it, at least in my opinion. But that was really all I had for a Geek Week. So I don't know what stuff you had going on. I know what you had going on a couple weekends ago, but
yeah, had the old life-changing event there. So we got married, and Monster was able to come, and all the guys from the Man Room show, Mr. Mittens and Big Rob, and huge thanks to you guys. Like I said, I gave you guys a thanks in a review the other day, but once again, big thanks. Geek Week wise, I had a new issue of Toy Collector magazine come, and it's got the cover from the Biker Mice from Mars, and it's like very in depth. That's one of the things I've noticed about this book is it's more like it gives you a lot of backstory on stuff, like why these figures were this way. So it's a lot of the deep digging on behind the toys. So I like that. I hadn't really got to read the issue yet. I just kind of thumbed through it when it came in the mail Tuesday. So that came in. I was pretty happy. Did an unboxing video of Super 7's Thunder Tank, which hers right beside me right here. So I don't know where to put it just yet. Right now, that's his home, but it's kind of in my unboxing area, so I'm not quite sure what to do with it at the moment.
Yeah, that's why I didn't buy one. I don't even have anywhere to put Galactus. He's still in a box over here, so I'm not adding
Dude,
anything else that large to the collection right now.
I'm not gonna pick it up because I mean, if you watch the unboxing video, I pick it up. It is massive. It weighs every bit of 30 pounds. It's massive. So we done that. I had a big bad toy store haul, and it was substantial. So we had the Silverhawks, we had Bluegrass and Steel Wheel. Then I had Monstar. Then I had the Throne come in. Then I had G.I. Joe Ultimates from Super 7 because Super 7 just raped me in the last month between all this. I got Cobra Commander and the Bat. I had some WWE Elites come in. I had Stunning Steve Austin and Ultimate Andre the Giant from the angle with Hogan. He even has the cross chain in his hand, and he's got the big world title that would have been his had he won. The Stunning Steve was really cool. I like it, and my eBay haul today was Ringmaster Steve Austin. So now I'll do a video where it's got, because I literally have the Mattel versions now where it's like Stunning Steve, Hollywood Blonde Steve Austin, Ringmaster, and Stone Cold. So I've got them on the wall now. They're in succession of his progression of hair loss and talent.
I was fixing to say that.
His progression of hair loss and talent game. And I had the Ultimate Razor Ramon come in. That's a really, really great figure. I didn't get a chase, unfortunately. Sticking with WWE. Great Muta, Hall of Fame. How cool is that?
I saw that. I'm kind of disappointed that my only disappointment was who's going to induct him, because the rumor is that it's going to be Flair, and I'm like, okay, yeah, you have some stuff with Flair, but I'd rather seen Sting do it.
Well, it was my understanding they wanted Sting to do it, but with the tensions being the way they are between AEW, because Tony Khan's a paranoid turd now, they didn't feel Tony Khan was going to play ball and allow it, or it would have been some ridiculous demand, which is why Billy Gunn wasn't at the Raw 30, so.
Which is surprising, because at first he didn't care, because like Chris Jericho did that whole Stone Cold Steve Austin show that they have on there, and everybody kept popping back in for this and for congratulations on anniversaries and stuff. So,
well, according to Tony Khan, he claims that he was willing to do the Forbidden Door with them and all this stuff, but they wasn't playing ball, and they were kind of disparaging when they got like Triple H making pot shots at Billy Gunn and shit like that on that one so I think. And Tony Khan seems to be a very sensitive fella. He takes things personal, but
yes, he does.
Either
just
way, yes, sir. I'm excited to see Muta in the Hall of Fame, even though he didn't get to wrestle in the WWE. He has quite a substantial legacy, and I'm hoping that this means he signs a Legends deal where we get him in 2K24 and an action figure in the United States finally.
And it makes sense now. Shinsuke Nakamura was able, and Carl Anderson, and we're able to go over and do that Japanese show now.
Yes, it does. Which I commend Triple H for that. He's doing the same thing that Tony Khan's doing, because they're allowing their superstars to do some indie dates now. They're kind of open to that as well.
But have you seen where they're even though they agreed to that before, and then like Moxley had one situated, and they started their first tour show.
Yeah.
And they made him cancel his appearance, so like he pitched a fit.
Yeah, he is not happy because I guess it was his home states where they're doing the first shows, and they wanted him there, which I understand. I've been in the house, and that's what's going to hurt AEW. The flexibility of doing other people's shit is what drew some of those guys there. So if you start doing house shows and they're no longer available to do that, yeah, you're finna get into a muddled mess. But
yeah, probably so.
Either way, and closing out my Geek Week, I'm hoping to pick up a copy of WWE 2K23 this weekend and start fucking John Cena up, because I will actually go all the way through the storyline mode on this one, because like with Rey Mysterio, I got bored playing with Rey. I'm not a big Rey fan or Luchador, the smaller guys, but you get to play with so many different people against John Cena to unlock the stuff, I think I'll be able to show all through the showcase mode. That rounds out my Geek Week.
Yeah, well, with that, let's jump straight to our focus topic this week then. Like, as we said, we got Mr. James Jefferson coming in for an interview about his property, Warrior Island. He's going to share some of that with us now, and then we'll be back shortly after that with our Nerd Out.
Welcome, everybody. We have the outstanding Mr. James B. Jefferson here, the creator of Warrior Island. Thank you, sir, for being here today. You want to tell everybody a little bit about yourself?
Well, it's a pleasure to be on the show. I've been involved in the sports entertainment and martial arts world for the last 40 years. And I'm only as good as the people I surround myself with. So like my close friends like Ron Van Cleef and Dan Severin and Henzo Gracie, etc. They are my pillars in the world of entertainment. The last 13 years, we've been really cultivating the Warrior Island concept based on originally Ron Van Cleef and myself and Dan Severin and actually Henzo Gracie had sat down after I had quit covering the UFC in 2010, when I saw all of the erosion of the respect and honor that was part of martial arts no longer being part of what the UFC was. And we wanted to first see what we could do to combat that by bringing back the we call it the Tiki Code: honor, respect, empathy. We have 15 different codes that are part of the Tiki Code, and we started by building our own league actually, and we held 34 events in 7 states, 3 countries. It was called Global Proving Ground, and we aired on NBC Sports. We spent a lot of money and a lot of time. But you're not going to beat the UFC at running MMA events. It's just not going to happen.
Yeah.
There's a lot of promoters that think they're going to do it. They're wrong. They're just not going to. So we went about it a different way. We started creating these awesome comic books, and they really caught fire. I mean, they do great at the Comic Cons. They do great at the martial arts events. We're up to comic book 12 now. We'll be producing 3 to 4 a year, if not more. And I'm at a table a couple years ago at the Action Hall of Honors event in Atlantic City at the Tropicana, and this man standing in front of me, and he's looking through one of the comic books, comic book issue 4, which is Warriors in Time. And he says, I really like this idea. He says, can I write the movie? And I'm like, okay, who are you? And he says, well, I'm Sheldon Lettich. And immediately I'm thinking, Sheldon Lettich, The Quest, Sheldon Lettich, Bloodsport, Sheldon Lettich? He goes, yeah, it's nice to meet you. What's your name? So we struck up a friendship and conversation, and now we're 2 years later. He's writing the treatment and the full screenplay of the Hollywood movie Warrior Island, which is going to be everything that Bloodsport was and The Quest, but a lot more, because we're bringing it into the Marvel level, and it's going to blow people's minds. I can't tell you the talent that we're talking to, but there's been 15 different movie stars that have already asked to read the script. 2 of them in the last 2 years have been up for Academy Awards. I didn't even know they had a martial arts background. But then there's also a couple of really serious martial arts actors that have been very active the last few years that are going to be most likely in the movie. But the movie is going to bring everything very current and very relevant to martial arts and to what people love about all those historic movies that we grew up. Enter the Dragon, like I mentioned, Bloodsport, The Quest, Kickboxer. There's so many. Double Impact. I mean, we all grew up watching these movies. To now be part of that, and to have someone, we've hired Sheldon Lettich, and now we have our screenwriter. We've hired James Tarzia, who's was the casting agent for all those movies, and now he's our casting agent, our director. And now we have we just signed our publicist today. So this is a real deal, and we're flying, and we're doing big budget. So I know they're talking between $20 to $40 million budget for this movie. And
wow,
it's pretty exciting. Now I don't have the money. You're gonna pay for it.
Well, that's where the Kickstarter comes, right?
Well, the Kickstarter really has nothing to do with the movie. It's more of getting more fans and talent. The Kickstarter is more about building the fan base and stuff like that. The Film Angels will pay for the movie. They don't dabble around with like Kickstarters. These are big money people that fund movies. They base how much they give to a movie based on the actual actors and actresses that are in the film, because there's an algorithm. They know if so and so's in it. An example, like if Mark Wahlberg's in the film, the minimum he'll get is $15 million, but they know they're going to do 150 million at the box office just because his name is on the picture. So
Yeah.
we're in that gray area right now, where we're talking to, well, the casting director's talking to the different actors that are interested. And we're now looking at the different locations. One of that's interesting, I think I can talk about the location. There's some sets from some of the old movies that are actually still sitting in Thailand.
Oh, wow.
That are not being used. And the line director from the, I don't know if you guys are familiar with Red Cliff, that huge Chinese martial arts movie, Red Cliff.
Yeah. I remember.
Yeah,
I don't know much about it, but I remember it.
It's crazy. It's like there's thousands of actors actually in it. It's one of the biggest cast movies in history. But the line producer, he actually has some great locations over there for us too. So we're kind of all brainstorming in that right now. I mean, who am I to argue with these Hollywood type? Between the three of them, they have 60 Hollywood movies that have grossed over $1 billion.
Wow.
So what am I gonna? Whatever they say, I say okay. Let's do that.
Can understand that.
It's a heck of a way to get your property out there.
Yeah, I mean, it's exciting because Warrior Island has been kind of growing slow in the background and sometimes out in the front because of who we're involved with. We really are a complete franchise because we have the comic book, we have the reality TV show, we have 500 products on our Shopify store, and now the movie, and we actually have some animation done now. I just got that from Germany. We're animating our tikis, and then we're gonna have full animated comic books and series. So it's exhausting. It's a lot of value because of what we're doing. We're teaching the heroes of the world, which are the fighters, the MMA fighters, the Muay Thai fighters, the kickboxers, wrestlers. These are the real heroes of the world because they have the courage to get into the cage, the ring, the mat to compete. So most human beings look up to people like this because they have the character trait that they wish they had. So it kind of all plays into our anti-bully program, the Tiki Code and the Tiki Code Kids, and what we're trying to teach, which is bullies who are the original victims, a better way of living and a better way of being able to channel their thoughts. I'm gonna tell you a little story that happened a couple weeks ago. I can't give you the people involved with the story, but it's a very unique story. It's a client of mine who's a forensic therapist that works in the what would it be called? Child Family Services. She works in family services, and she had a 6'8", 17-year-old black youth that was very angry in her office, and she's about 100 pounds, and he was between her and the door, and she was getting increasingly nervous for her safety because he was getting more and more agitated, and she didn't know what to do. So on a whim, she reached into her desk and pulled out a copy of Warrior Island comic book and said, "Have you ever heard of Warrior Island?" And the kid kind of stopped for a second. He said, "Actually, I have. I was at their booth at the Javits Center for Comic-Con. I met some crazy guy with a Fu Manchu mustache." He goes, "James, he signed this book." And she handed him the book. And they then talked for the next hour about the comic book and martial arts, and it completely diffused the situation. What are the chances that she had the comic with her? What are the chances that this kid met me at the Comic-Con? And what are the chances that he would be interested in diffuse the situation? So it kind of told me energetically, spiritually, this is what I should be doing. And by having the amazing friends I have, the Ron Van Cleefs, a real ninja, with Grandmaster Hayes and these amazing grandmasters of martial arts that I can lean on as mentors. I am extremely excited about being able to change the world for the better by teaching the warriors, the heroes, how to live a better life. Like, example, if you took Conor McGregor and put him on Warrior Island, he wouldn't last 5 minutes. Not only would he not reach any of the codes, you'd have 70 red ninjas taking him out because it's about character. I mean, he has no character. He has no couth. He has no empathy.
He is a character. He has no character.
He is definitely a character, but he doesn't have any. He doesn't have any of the Tiki codes. He doesn't understand empathy. He doesn't understand what it means to help somebody up, pick somebody up. He just wants to knock everybody down and put them down. So we are the opposite. And we teach warriors how to be better human beings. If you go back to the root of what martial arts was in Eastern India and Western China, it was there so long ago. You would have somebody in the village that would know some kind of art form to protect the village. They would take one student, they would then pass that on, and martial arts grew from one year after another, and they would teach that. And that's what martial arts is. It's not, a corner karate school that gets parents to pay for black belts. It's about really teaching a student what it means to be a real warrior and a protector, not a bully, not a criminal. And that's what we're about. And I want to take any questions you guys have. We're very accessible on social media. Literally, I can get people on the phone with Ron Van Cleef, Dan Severin. That's only a few. I mean, literally, I have 100 grandmasters.
Yeah, he just casually name dropping legends here.
Yeah, I mean, these are good friends of mine. I mean, they're like family to me. And one of the things I tell people all the time is I've sat with grandmasters that have been in a martial art for 40 or 50 years that could kill you if they had to. But they'll tell you the thing, all of them will tell you the same thing. The thing they've learned the most in their entire 40, 50, 60 years in a martial art is the empathy, to care about a fellow human being. That after all that training and all that battle and all that warrior spirit, they realized it's really about caring about each other. Doesn't mean you still shouldn't have sport, you still shouldn't have fight, you shouldn't still be an MMA
Just
fighter
have some
or
discipline and honor about yourself.
Yes, I mean, what is better than seeing watching one of the greatest Muay Thai fights you've ever seen in your life, and then when it's done, they get on their knees and bow to each other. I mean, that's awesome,
Yes.
and it's just what it really should be. Imagine if we just had nations fighting like in an Olympics, but we would have MMA in the cage as the war instead of Ukraine versus Russia. Warrior Island literally lost two of our fighters for the TV show in the Ukraine-Russian war. I mean, against each other.
Oh, wow.
And it's just
Oh,
crazy
sad.
stuff that's going on. And, we could change the world with that as well. But it's exciting. I mean, I just want to make sure that your fans can get access to Warrior Island. It's go to warriorisland.com. They can go to all the social media. It's easy to find it. And just let us know what we can do to make a difference in people's lives, because we have 4,000 martial arts schools in our ownership. So between all the different martial arts masters and stuff.
So you're pretty well spread out all amongst the U.S. then.
We're worldwide. We're in 17 countries.
Oh, okay. Oh, wow.
But the movie's going to pull it all together. We've been building all the other stuff in the background. Now the movie's going to pull it all together.
But if you don't mind us asking, I was very curious. What got you into the martial arts to begin with?
Well, I started playing football at about the age of 6 in the early 1970s. And in the same year I started football, my father landscaped Muhammad Ali's house in Cherry Hill, New Jersey, and he brought Muhammad Ali over the house. And my hair was real long. My aunts kept my hair long. They were hippies. And Muhammad Ali leaned over and said, "Who's this little girl?" And I punched him right in the face. I was 6 years old, so I got away with it. He says, "You know who I am?" I said, "You're the champ. You're Muhammad Ali." So I became a big Muhammad Ali fan in the early 70s. I remember he was so huge. It was like crazy how big he was. And now I'm the same size. I'm bigger than he was. But it was so weird at 6 years old to be influenced by someone like. And I followed every bit of his career and watched his whole life. And that was very impactful for me. I played football for 19 years. I started doing Golden Gloves boxing, and I was a Division I wrestler. So I was doing MMA before it was MMA. I was doing boxing, I was doing wrestling, then I got into Muay Thai. I was a power lifter. I tried out a lot of NFL camps and stuff. I was always involved in something. So that's why my character in the comic books is the Ronin. I never had a master. I just kind of did a little bit of everything, but it was just the warrior spirit. When you're born with that warrior spirit, it's either you are or you're not. When you get punched in the face and you like it, that's a warrior spirit. It's just the different mentality of the physicality of it, that the physical doesn't scare you. It just motivates you. But then you take that, and I was bullied as a kid, but I was bullied because I was so big and I wouldn't hit people when I was really young. So like when I was in 4th grade, 5th grade, I was 200 pounds. So most of the kids were 100 pounds, but they would pick on me but I wouldn't hit them because I know I'm so much bigger than them. I'm going to be the one at fault. So they would just constantly pester me until I guess 8th grade. I picked up Kevin Gold in his desk chair and threw him into the hallway, and I got suspended. But the principal told my father, "Good for your son finally standing up for himself. Tell him not to kill the other children, but thank you. It's really great that he stood up for himself." And then I was in the Golden Gloves, and then I was getting ready to go for my next match, and I looked across the ring, and I'm looking in the guy's eyes that I'm fighting, and I'm like, this is all he has. I have a master's degree. I think I'm going to become a promoter. So I just, that was the last time I fought. That was in about 1991 or 2. I just realized there's people in these rings and cages that this is all they have, and they're fighting for their food. I'm like, I'm intelligent and educated. I can just go promote.
Yeah, you take a young, hungry Mike Tyson. That was what he had, and that was his path, his vehicle to success. So
yes,
and a lot of guys are this way, and unfortunately, some become well-rounded adults, some do not.
But
look at John Jones. He's got all the talent in the world, and he's outside the ring, he's just not a quality person.
The Tiki Code would help him if he would get a mentor that he'd be willing to listen to and follow the Tiki Code. It just really helps you become a better human being. So, I mean, I'm literally sitting in the car getting ready to lead a Bible study here at my church. I'll show you right here. So we have up to 220 strong men here, including a 2-star general, the mayor of the town, and it's a lot of men getting together to bring masculinity back to this country, because it's absolutely a crime how they're demasculizing men across this country. And men need to stand up and be strong, but be strong with the Tiki Code, be strong with character. You don't use that against people. Use your strength to protect people. Use your strength to provide for people. Use your strength to be a strong, powerful man. That God created you as a man. Be a man. Don't let anyone take that away from you. But don't abuse anybody, and don't use it for bad. Use it for good. So that's what we're doing here at the church. We're building strong men to fight against all this craziness in this society right now.
And it's very well needed. It's we get into that sometimes on here. We are not necessarily, as I like to say, a woke culture. we are very very, I hate to say old school, but more traditional. But everything about it's about doing it with the right intentions, right?
Mm-hmm.
Doing it
And
properly.
y'all are obviously doing the great power with great responsibilities. I mean, our hats are off to you. We can't commend you.
Yeah, I mean, I've got a lot of black men that I'm mentoring right now, because there are a lot of really great black men out there that just need a lot of support, because they have to deal with a lot of crap, and they have to put up with the men that didn't do things right, and they get a stigmatism on them. They get bad rap, but they're working hard and they care, and they're walking a Christian life. And there are great black men out there, and they're getting more and more. So I think that the more we can support any ethnic background that's stepping up to be a good human being and a father, is what we all need to do, because that's proven over and over again. Mothers are important. Mothers create the child, and they raise the child, they birth the child. But it's proven over and over that male figure is extremely important to keep men out of prison.
Yes.
Women can't teach a boy how to be a man. They can teach him how to be a good person. They can teach him how to be a provider, but they can't teach him to be a man. They're a woman. And that's the problem. You need a man to teach a boy how to be a man, not a woman.
Well, they can help provide the empathy part that they need, but you need that strength that a strong male in their life, provides.
Yep, absolutely. I mean, the hardest working people in this country are ethnic grandmothers in the city, because the moms are working 2 jobs and the grandmoms are raising the kids, and a lot of the fathers can't find them. But the ones that are good, we got to keep supporting them and keep helping them out. And I think we can shift it. And the Tiki Code is a big part of that. One of our artists, Jabbar, he is an ex-gangbanger that was in prison, that learned art when he was in prison. He comes out now. He's working in the Boys and Girls Club in Wilmington, Delaware. He's a positive male role model, and he could have gone a completely different direction as a gangbanger. Also, Bam Johnson was a drug dealer, and he's in Baltimore, and now he is a youth leader, and is starring in the next issue 12 of the comic book. So
That's what's up right here.
doesn't matter where you came from or who you are. You can turn it around. and get your faith where it should be, and make a positive impact in this world. So that's what we're all doing. So no matter what your faith is, no matter what, men need to bond together, and we can get this world back in shape.
Yeah, we appreciate. Oh, go ahead, Hassel. I'm sorry.
You go ahead.
Go ahead.
Where would one go to get the Tiki code? Where would they need to go to get all the info that they would need that you could teach them to help them?
It's real easy. Just go to warriorisland.com. They can email me from there. James@warriorisland.com. You put into Google Warrior Island, you get more than you can imagine. There's a lot. We're very accessible. And like I said, we have all the Tiki codes on T-shirts and sweats and rash guards, and we actually have the animated ones are getting launched this week. So the Tikis are animated, telling you what they're all about. So, and that's part of the Tiki Code Kids, which is going to be in all the dojos. It's kids around the country that are martial artists or not martial artists, doing random acts of kindness and becoming strong children, and bonding together in a good social pop kind of culture way. So that's the next thing you'll be seeing all over TikTok. But I don't even know how to get on TikTok. But it's evidently there.
Same here. I can't swear I know how to get there. But Hassel actually asked you what I was going to ask is how to get the comics and to the TV show stuff. It sounds like everything should be all connected there.
Yep, everything's at warriorisland.com. From there, you can get to Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn, YouTube, what have you. We're what our 12th, 13th, going into our 13th year, and we have a lot more people to get a hold of and help. So, and if you guys can give us a copy of this show or a link to it, we'll put it out everywhere too, because you have a great show here, and I have to get ready to go to get these men rolling. But this was a pleasure being with you guys. I'm going to go back and watch a lot of your other shows too. So
we appreciate you coming on, and hopefully you can come back and visit us again as you get further along in the project. Is there, just as a real quick question, because I know you got to get there and we don't want to hold you up, but is there any other upcoming projects, like you guys at any conventions or anything coming up, or any kind of idea of the timeline for
we're going to be
coming out with the movie and all?
Yeah, we're going to be doing a casting call at the NAFMA Nationals at the Sheraton in Atlantic City, New Jersey on Memorial Day weekend. And also I can get you like Ron Van Cleef and Dan Severn and all these guys and to come on the show. So we'll communicate and I'll get you these guys to come on, different martial artists and legends and stuff. So they'll come on the show for you, and we'll keep you rolling on everything.
We appreciate it very much, sir. And we won't hold you up any longer. We know you got a lot going on. So.
All right. God bless, guys. And keep fighting a good fight.
Thank you, James. You have a great day, sir.
All right. Take care.
Day.
All right. Bye-bye.
Appreciate it.
Thank you, everyone, for sticking around and checking out that interview with Mr. James B. Jefferson. We're very glad he came on. And remember to check out his website, warriorisland.com, where you can find links to find his books, the reality TV show, the upcoming movie, all news about that. So keep checking on there. We'll put a logo somewhere in here, wherever the box fits. Yeah, somewhere. So we'll have that up on here, but remember to check them out.
We promise people we're more organized than we seem.
Usually we are very organized, and we are behind the scenes. It's just when we get on camera, we lose all organizational skills and verbal skills a lot of times too. But
way sometimes.
Thank you to Mr. Jefferson for coming on and talking to us. It was fun to hear all about Warrior Island, and you'll be seeing more of that. And we'll try to keep you updated here as much as possible. But remember to check out his site, warriorisland.com. And with that, Hassel, I think we're ready to go straight to Nerd Out. For anybody who hasn't been here before, this is the part of the show we ask random questions as related as possible to the topics of the day. We don't give each other any prep time on the questions, except when I accidentally send the questions to Hassel sometimes. That has not happened recently, so I'm doing good on that.
You've been slacking, Monster. I mean, hell.
No, I'm trying to save myself because you steal my questions anyway. But if anybody wants to share their answer to our question, or they want to expand upon our answers, please feel free to do so in the comments. We'd love to hear from you. It's always fun to get some feedback on some of these. And with that, Hassel, it's question time. You want to go first, or you want me to go first?
I want you to go first, sir. You went first on Geek Week, and I don't want to steal your question this week, so go right ahead.
All right. So I know we were talking to James about Warrior Island and where that bred from, but going forward from that, where he's talking about the movies, kind of where I want to get into with you for a nerd out question. So my question is, what type of movie genre would you want to create and star in, and what would kind of be the role you would want to play? Because we know he talked about being a character in the comic as well, and I'm like, So if you were creating a full type of movie series or something, what would you want to? What kind of? Doesn't have to full details, but like what kind of genre would it fit in, and what kind of character would you want to play if you were actually in it as well?
I'd probably and it's probably because I'm biased right now because I'm kind of submersed into the world of writing it. Anyways, I'd probably stick with the pen comic I'm writing. That's it's somewhat back in the Middle Ages with the King Arthur and all this, but then you have some demons and you got necromancers and Merlin and all this stuff. But this modern time Excalibur type. Because I remember as a child loving the movie Excalibur, thinking it was so cool to me, and it still holds up very well for an early '80s movie. So I just thought that in a modern time and expanded upon the mythology, like Lancelot's cursed because of his deal with Guinevere, so he's cursed. Watch after the Pendragon bloodline, and there's only one left, and he's going to be the guy that combats the great evil.
I gotcha. Interesting. I think for me, I lean more towards a sci-fi type movie, but I like I don't like necessarily I enjoy them, but I wouldn't think I'd want to create one. But I would like to do more of a sci-fi movie that is almost like a Star Trek, where it's more explorational, and you can put some action and stuff in there. But a full-on action drama or an Aliens type where it's a horror thriller type as well, or even a Star Wars where it's more battle. I don't know that I'd do any of those, but I'd like to do a Star Trek one and that type of movie, where they're exploring. And I don't know, if I was to be something like that, I don't want to be the captain or anything. Maybe an officer, but I don't want to be captain. I don't want to be the navigator flying the ship and stuff either. But like a Spock or something, maybe the science officer type thing.
I'm more than fine with being the background comic relief like Drax in Guardians of the Galaxy. That's what has.
That's fair. So what do you have for a question this week?
All right. So, not rumored. So, as you can't use anything that's been rumored. What realistic item would you like to see the HasLab team tackle next?
Oh, because this is, I'm assuming, in relation to where they've announced that they're going to do an Avengers one, because we didn't talk about it any, but that came up last week. It was in my notes from last week that they were going to do an Avengers one, but since we didn't get to record, I kind of forgot about it. Not rumored, but realistic. You know what I'd like to see them do? And I know they're doing the Zord Ascension project and they're doing Power Ranger Zords and stuff, but they were very cheap looking for the most part.
Yeah.
Now I'm hoping this Astro Megazord one's a little bit better, like we talked about earlier. But I would actually like to go see them do the Thunder Megazord and actually do it more justice than they even did with the Legacy line. I'd like to see them larger size. Probably the size of a Unicron once they combine, but be a good combiner, be very well done. I'd like to see that.
Mobile versus because even the Legacy one, while it looks great just standing still, you can't really pose him. No,
yeah,
not at all.
And that was their goal with that Zord Ascension project. But when you look at how they had to make it to pose it, you could tell they took the cheapest option possible because they're trying to make not a lab or a crowdfunding one, which is going to be very expensive. They wanted to make a version they could put out there and sell commercially. I'm willing to pay $300 for a lab or something like that if you make it where it looks good and it's mobile and it's posable, versus $175 or whatever they are right now, $169 for one that's posable, but it looks like it's going to fall apart if I breathe on it wrong.
I mean, the Legacy ones, what did they run at the time? Because I actually have the
they were
Thunder Zord actually on my dresser in my bedroom now.
So
but they cost $200.
It was like $150.
Yeah,
but they had die-cast parts too. So
they did. But
that
you know what?
The cost up.
I'm fine with paying $300 if it's got some die-cast, it's durable and posable. Which is because if you move that Thunder Zord just right, the hip piece comes off. It's a mess. It's
not made the best, but when you look at how posable these Zord Ascension,
well, it's great standing there. But
yeah, same thing with the Zord Ascension ones. They look great once you get them posed, and they have ankle tilts and all this other stuff. But Then you have the Tyrannosaurus foot sticking out the back of it like 2 inches because they couldn't figure out another way to connect it and still make the knee joint work very well. I'm like, that looks terrible. Just make a lab and spend the extra money. I'll buy it. I mean, I'm sure that other people would too that are fans now. Is the same amount of people going to buy that as they are, for instance, a G.I. Joe Tomahawk or something? No. But that's a different crowd.
How cool would a Serpentera be?
Dude, that would be a cool one if you were going to do an individual Zord.
Yeah. Well, which, the biggest thing with HasLabs I've noticed, they're very inconsistent with their cost.
Yes.
You don't mind spending $200-300 on particular things. You don't mind even spending $400 or $500. I mean, look at this. We got a ThunderTax sitting beside us. People don't mind spending if they feel they're getting a value. But when you get $200 or $300 for, like, when they try to do the Ghost Rider car, for one, that's a niche base, because even Ghost Rider fans, we are niche, and we all have a particular favorite. Robbie Ray's is a very niche and new. So to choose that car, and you want $300 for a car when you can literally buy like the Bat Beast for $30 or $40. I mean, the Batmobile just dropped from McFarlane, and it looks great. $80.
The pricing was bad there, but it was also a choice. They made a choice to go with the newest version of Ghost Rider because that's what they're trying to push in their books. However, all I heard was from a very consistent, large portion of fan base is if this was several of the riders on their motorcycles, or even including Robbie in a smaller version of the car with the several on the motorcycles like Johnny and Danny, people would have went for it. But they just don't.
You could have went with a 3-pack of Johnny, Danny, and Michael Baldino as Vengeance, and just had them three and 3 bikes. You'd have sold it.
Yeah,
and you'd have made your money because that's basically $100 per figure bike.
Oh yeah. So what would be your answer to the question? Because I don't think you've actually fully answered it. We just kind of went off on a tangent there.
Yeah, we did. I answered for my main one. It would be the Cobra Rage. That was the vehicle when we were talking about G.I. Joes a little while back. That was the vehicle that, as a child, I just loved. I got it one year for Christmas. It was so cool. It had the little turret that come out the side. It dropped the landmines. It had the gun on top. I mean, it was just that, a classified scale. I would easily drop $350 on that. But I went the extra mile. I answered in all categories. So for Transformers, I would like to see them do a Matrix of Leadership. Lights. Maybe if you could, pull it apart. Maybe have some sound effects.
So since you're going to go that route, as you name them off, I will give you what I would have done in each one of them since I only picked one. I like your idea of the Matrix of Leadership. That's pretty cool. Although I think it's been done as a third party at this point.
Well, I have a third party, but I would like an actual Hasbro version.
I would prefer to see them do a masterpiece scale combiner that's actually good. Not the train when they're doing now. It looks like it's going to fall apart because there's fiddly pieces everywhere. I want a third party level masterpiece combiner out of them, and I would prefer one like Computron or Defensor that hasn't been done, or Defensor is being done, but maybe Computron, or for them they're so popular they probably would do the Constructicons first. I'm sure because that's the main one.
Absolutely, and I would buy the fuck out of that or Bruticus.
But that would be my first choice there.
What about on Joe's? Since I done Joe's, what would your Joe be?
Personally, I want the Killer Whale because that was my favorite vehicle. But my second favorite vehicle, and the one that'd be more likely to happen, would be the Tomahawk. And with the Tomahawk, I want lift ticket and lifeline.
Well, see, that was my thing with some of the stuff is you got to have some figures to come with them. I mean, it's just the way it is. So progressing on, for Marvel, I chose the Quinjet and Jarvis. I think Jarvis would be. You can't have the Avengers without Jarvis. He's a simple figure to make, and the Quinjet is just the right size. I feel like you wouldn't mind. Will be a value of $300. But let's be honest, we'd all love a Blackbird, but this son of a bitch would be massive. It'd have to be in scale with the Legends. So once you start getting past a certain point in scale, the price is going to get crazy. Now, you might well still drop $500 for a Blackbird, but not much beyond that. A Quinjet you could keep in the $300 to $400 range. I feel just big enough for maybe four figures, and come with a Jarvis or something, or maybe an Ultron, or a good-looking Ultron, because you get these basic ass Ultrons all the time, but something kind of
cool. So I would say that I would go the route of a role play item, and I want something. And I know they do role play now, and they've done a Captain America shield before, but a Captain America shield made out of actual metal would be awesome.
That'd be cool.
But I would actually think I would prefer a functioning web shooter that actually shoots a thread of line out, and that you can refill and stuff. I mean, you have limited uses because you're not going to get a ton of cartridges to buy them all the time and stuff, but a functioning web shooter that actually works and you can put that same piece back in it and use it again, that would be cool to have. I know we've got prop replicas out there. I just want one that actually works.
That is one of the prop replicas that I want the most. I forget who done it and who put it out, but I remember seeing it probably roughly 10 years ago. Somebody done a comic accurate version of the web shooters. And they just sit on a stand. You don't get to wear them or none of that shit, but they just look really cool to me because they were in scale and all that. I've always wanted those. So my last part, Star Wars. They hadn't had the best luck with the Black Series. I mean, with crowdfunding events. Let's put it this way. The vintage small lines have, but I think it's because of what they chose for the vintage small lines and the price. So I'm going to stick with Black Series. I'm not going to get stupid, but I'm going to go with something the fans want. I want to see Black Series Star Killer and his jet. His Starfighter. I forget the name of what it was called, but it was a really cool looking, vehicle. And I think that would be something that, the fans would get behind us. The Force Unleashed is criminally underrated. 1 and 2.
Yeah.
And we don't get enough out of those properties.
I will say I would go the opposite route and I'd go with the classic thing that everybody wants. I want a Black Series Millennium Falcon. Now that's going to be an ungodly price because it's going to be huge.
That's why I didn't go that route, because that's the first thing that comes to my mind is Millennium Falcon. But this son of a bitch, it would have to be massive, and I almost bet you it would have to be close to $800.
Quite possibly.
It shouldn't be. It shouldn't be, because I mean, look at what McFarlane's doing with his. He's doing full scale vehicles, pretty damn good in detail, under $100, left and right.
Yeah, I question some of the quality on some of his stuff, but we won't delve into that here because we are running a little tighter on time.
Is it a HasLab quality? No, but it's pretty damn close, for what you're paying, price wise.
Yeah. So before we jump, because before we end this, there is one property that you didn't answer. What would you do for Power Rangers?
Well, like I said, I'm not going to say Serpentary because I said that earlier. What was the Titanus?
Yeah.
The big
that was
Rocky.
That was the Carrier Zord.
I'd like to see a good version of that.
That would be a good one. I figured you were going to say a life-size replica made out of Metal of Zed's staff or something.
Dude, I'd buy the fuck out of that. No shit. And I would put my helmet on that I have that also sits on my wife's dresser in our bedroom. Like she's to me right now because she's got a shadow box with all girly stuff of our wedding that she wants to put in there, and I got like Zed's helmet and the Thundermaker's Zord right on her dresser. I'm that asshole husband, so yeah.
Oh man! But with that, that was a fun nerd out. But let's we got to get out of here shortly. We're running out of time. But before we leave, let's give a shout out to some of our friends. So first, we got Mr. Daniel Garcia, creator of Zyberona, which is on its way coming out very soon, and you can find more information about that on his Facebook at Daniel Garcia and on Instagram at D Garcia Comics, and you can check back here for regular updates. Don't forget about our friend Mr. Chris Daly, the host of the Fueled by Weird podcast. You can find him on Instagram at Fueled by Weird and on his podcast, Fueled by Weird, wherever you find your podcast. He discusses all things nerdy and weird and has some great reviews on there. Our friend and content creator and autism activist, Mandy Lynn, a.k.a. Kushimama. You can find her on Instagram at Kushimama and on YouTube at Doodle's Toy Report and her new channel, The Collector Selector, or collector sector. Excuse me, I can't speak today apparently.
And I think we're in danger of being there.
I'm sure we are very soon from the last time we talked, but also she also has that as an Instagram channel now too, the collector sector. So check that out on Instagram and YouTube. Our friend Mr. August Aguilar from Strange Film Studios, he's got some new projects coming out. Man, I just looked at it earlier today and my brain's gone dead. I can't remember what the newest one coming out is now. But
it's got Ginger Lynn in it. Yeah.
Yeah,
that looks really great, actually.
It does,
and they have a lot of new gear out. I'll say he's got some new shirts posted.
Yep.
Stickers. If you buy some shirts, he's put some stickers in there. He's even told me to buy a shirt, and he put stickers in there. So.
Yes, and I actually was getting to that point, and then I got tongue-tied because I forgot what the new movie was. So thank you for covering that.
The Gift, I think, might have been what it was called.
I think so. I wanted to say The Gifted, but that was a TV show.
Yeah.
So I think it is The Gift. And also, don't forget to check out our extended Nerdy Manroom family member, Big Rob. You can find him on his channel, Big Rob's House of Entertainment and No Chinese Food.
No Chinese Food!
Where he drops new reviews and unboxings of awesome items and shares fun stories from life on the road with Big Rob. And also, don't forget to check out our sponsor, These On Collectibles. You can find them on the internet at theseoncollectibles@gmail.com and on Facebook at The Zone Collectibles or in their store at 305 Main Street, Tifton, Georgia. Visit them for all your nerdy needs. Help them support the local artist community by supporting their cause of bringing unity through community. Fandoms unite. And with that, Hassel, we're ready to get out of here. But before we do, tell everybody where they can find us at as well.
But just before I tell you where to find us at, let's give a special shout out to Kevin Clady of The Zone, who's been struggling. He's been in and out of the hospital this week. They had a little bit of medical issues. So much love and prayers to you, Kev. This Saturday at 305 North Main Street in Tifton, Georgia is their 5-year anniversary. Don't forget to show up. The 501st will be there. He's got some special guests. This asshole will be there. Big Rob will be there. Foxfoot Crafts. A ton of them, a ton of people. But well, I regress. Getting back to what we're...
Also, before you move on to where they find us, everybody make sure you check out Foxfoot Crafts page. They are doing some commissions for pay as what you like commissions to help them support some upgrades they're having to do to their septic system. They also have a GoFundMe or Kickstarter. I think it's a GoFundMe that they have set up. So check out their page for that. It's Foxfoot Crafts on Instagram. Make sure you hit them up and help them out. And then the pay for what you like commission is really neat. You get to pay a price, what kind of package you would like, and they create you a commission. It's all digital renders and stuff, and they'll get that to you.
She's very, very talented. But moving on to us, obviously, you can find us on YouTube, where we're at right here, at the Nerdy Manroom Show. You can find us on Facebook. You can find us on Facebook at Hazel Hutchinson via the Nerdy Manroom Show, Instagram, the Nerdy Manroom Show, Twitter, Nerdy MR Show, and we are on the Roku now, Southern Joy Media. Find us there. Like, subscribe, share the fuck out of us. Hit the bell. Love us.
And with that brings us to a close this week. But join us here next time. We've got an awesome interview with the author of Savage Squastronaut. I still can't say it right, Wes Hartman. We did have that plan for last time. As we said, we had to move that a couple weeks just because of some scheduling conflicts. But join us here next time for that. Until then, live nerdy and be like water.